So according to the stats and everything we're seeing, and when we watch Zion as a player, it's noted that so yesterday was media day, where essentially all the teams come together, they do photo shoots, they do interviews, and a lot of cool things happen during this day, which I will be talking about over these next couple days. But one thing that I did notice was Zion Williamson looked a whole lot better than he did last media day. Last year, Zion Williamson looked completely out of shape, and the whole meme of him being fat once again got started up again. Last year, I justified it due to injury, but this year, it's a different story. And I mean that in a really good way. Zion Williamson looks like he's in the best shape of his life, and honestly, it's looking good for the Pelicans this year. Now, some people might just be saying that, oh, he's in shape, but how is this going to affect him? Also, this is someone that constantly gets injured. And while that has been true these past couple seasons, I think because of the weight loss he's experienced that these injuries are going to go down. Last year, it was reported that Zion Williamson was 284 pounds, and even some reports said he was above 300. God damn! I don't know how true that is. I think a lot of people did over-speculate about his weight because of pictures that were like angled the wrong way. But this year is different because now we're getting a fully healthy Zion Williamson with a Pelicans team that is going to be taking a turn for the better. While last season was a disappointment for them getting bounced to the first round, I would actually say they had a pretty good run. The Pelicans only lost the Phoenix Suns, which it was a 1 versus 8 matchup. I don't think anyone thought Phoenix was going to lose that series. But the fact that it went to 6 was very interesting to me, and the Pelicans this year I think are a team that are not to be messed with. While I could talk about the development of Brandon Ingram, while I could talk about Jose Alvarado being a stud last year, even though no one really knew who he was until a Twitter video, I'm here to talk about Zion Williamson, which is one of the reasons why I think not only are the Pelicans going to have a good season, but Zion is going to be making his way to be a superstar. We've seen Zion's potential and the way he's been able to play when he's healthy, and this season I think that's going to be no different. Zion these past couple seasons has been a very consistent player. I noticed something with some star players or superstar players that they'll have some good years, they'll have some bad years when they're first coming up as a player. But what I'm noticing with Zion Williamson is he's consistently someone that can score. He's constantly putting his teammates in situations to score, and overall and all around, he's a great player. Unfortunately, he's not doing the flashy dunks that he did at Duke, and that's one of the reasons why he's severely underrated, which I think is insane. A player that at one point was the most hyped up prospect since LeBron James himself is now underrated. Y'all, that's the most casual shit I've ever seen. I think we could look at the fact that his weight definitely had to do with the reason why he wasn't doing those dunks he did at Duke, but honestly, I really don't care that he wasn't doing them. He was putting his team in a situation to win, and they've gotten better over these past couple years, so clearly something is working. When the Pelicans lost Anthony Davis and they had a transition, I thought it was going to be a terrible transition, even with them getting Zion. But that transition of trading Anthony Davis and getting back Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, and also being able to get Zion Williamson that same offseason, is going very well for this team. Of course, it took a couple years as they had some losing seasons, but now all the work is finally paying off. Brandon Ingram is someone that is an all-star level player who I think can really take his game up this year, and Zion Williamson is someone that when he's healthy is by far more than just an all-star level player, and which is again why I think he'll become a superstar. He's one of the best finishers in the league, which I don't think anyone is really shocked by. He was an amazing finisher at Duke. He's been known to be a dunker, and on top of that, Zion Williamson is very good in the post. In fact, when he was playing, I believe he had the highest field goal percentage in the last 2 seasons he played. I mean, we're not going to act like the last time he played he was averaging 27 points per game while having a field goal percentage of 61%, again the best in the NBA at the time. In the 2020-2021 season, he was in the top 10 of scoring, and what I think is the most interesting is he was in the top 5 in player efficiency rating. So according to the stats and everything we're seeing, and when we watch Zion as a player, it's noted that he makes a big impact on the court. It's also noteworthy that when he's healthy, he's one of the best in the NBA. He's a consistent top 10 player if he can stay healthy. While he did shoot 29% from 3, which isn't exactly that good, it is important to note that Zion really doesn't need to be a 3-point shooter, which I feel like I'm constantly having to say for certain players, but I feel like a lot of people think that every single position has to make threes. But even if I'm reverting my claim, I think Zion Williamson can make threes when he needs to, but honestly, that's not a very big argument for me because I think Zion's main offense is in the post and being a finisher. This is the first time in about 2 years we're going to be seeing a healthy Zion Williamson play in an NBA game. As far as I'm concerned, I believe Zion is going to be starting on day 1 for the Pelicans. I don't see any reason, anything holding him back from being able to play again, which excites me because Zion Williamson is one of my favorite players. In fact, currently as I'm recording this, I'm not joking, I have a Zion jersey literally hanging up from my bed frame. He was the most hyped up player in his class, and I think in these next couple seasons, he's going to be regaining that hype that he had. Okay, maybe not all the hype because people thought he was the second coming of Jesus Christ himself, but he's gonna be known as a top player once again. I feel like I have to reiterate this, but it's only if Zion can stay healthy. I've said this about Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis was healthy and played at least 70 games, Anthony Davis, no doubt in my mind, even though he is aging, is a top 5 player in the NBA. Unfortunately, that never happens because this man is made of glass. That's why it's called street clothes. I mean, for fuck's sake, he was playing 2K Live and his own guy got injured. That is fucking sad. But again, he's never healthy, and I am so scared that's gonna happen to Zion. Now, the good news is that Zion Williamson has been taking his weight seriously, and obviously we can see by the fucking pictures, he looks in really good shape. Obviously, I'm not saying just because he's jacked now and he looks a whole lot better, that just means, oh, he's now gonna be an amazing player, as if he already wasn't. He's not much of a shooter, so I don't think his shooting will really be affected unless he actually did work on his shooting in the offseason. But as far as that goes, I think everything is going to be just the same as it was last time he was playing, him being a top 10 scorer. And now this time, the Pelicans are going to be in the playoffs this year, and there's a chance they could really do some damage. Now, of course, we could all be blowing the fact that Zion Williamson has gotten his shape way out of proportion, and the same thing's gonna happen where he plays like 40 to 50 games, or he misses the entire season in like a month. But I got an idea from something that I've been saying for these past couple weeks. I've been saying that Anthony Davis is the Saquon Barkley of the NBA. If you don't know about Saquon Barkley, he's a player for the New York Giants. He was a really good running back coming out of Penn State, but unfortunately he dealt with multiple injuries. Mind you, he was actually taken with the 2nd overall pick in 2018, and we're in 2022 just 4 years later. And now this season, it looks like he's finally able to do what he hasn't been able to due to injuries. He looks healthy and he looks like a way better player. I would know, I had to play him in fantasy football this week, and that's why my mom beat me. Man, you, Jefferson. Regardless of that, it makes me happy to see Saquon Barkley is finally happy and able to be at the level that I knew he could be at. Which takes me right back to Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson. These are people that cannot be healthy, but when they are healthy, they're amazing. And if Zion can be healthy this year, then there's no doubt in my mind he's a top 10 player. There's no doubt in my mind that the Pelicans can be a really good team this year and possibly shake some shit in the West. There's no doubt in my mind that the haters of Zion Williamson who said he had a bunch of weight problems and he was a fatty and just all these things are finally going to be put to rest. And there's no doubt in my mind I'll be able to beat my mom in fantasy next time I play her. Wait, I'm sorry, that was too personal. Anyways, moral of the story, Zion Williamson is going to be great, and yeah, I'm going to go cry about that fantasy loss.